Hello everybody, it's me Mr. Easily Victor and welcome back to Madness Project Nexus. It's been a while since I played this game, that's because pretty much, for the most part, don't know all that there is to be seen. All except for something that lies in here. This is something that's been in the game for quite some time, but I haven't shown it off until now because I just didn't really, just forgot to do so. So, let's get rid of these annoyances. We go downstairs. Not long for Nevada. Crap, not yet. You'll ruin it. So yeah, basement of this mart, there's this guy who's been working on all these etchings on the walls. Examine the first set. Arrival. Look at this. Two figures stand beside a third who has been scratched out. To make them less visible, they radiate menace and foreboding. Basically, these very etchings depict the story mode. Our first set is Sanford and Deimos and also Hank, but Hank is notably been scratched out. Clearly foreshadowing to what he does later on. If you haven't seen my series on this game, I'll link the playlist in the description so you can start from the first video and learn the story of the campaign to shut down Project Nexus. Anyway, etching number 2. Look at this. A large bandit-looking dude lies defeated on the floor. Pain is in his eyes. You feel overwhelming sorry for the hefty, tragic bloke who may have skirted out of his own reckoning were it not for his unscrupulous ravenousness. AKA the Mag Bandit and his initial defeat in Hank's hands outside Nexus City. Two figures hold up a third at gunpoint, who balks with hands raised defensively. The etching is rife with tension, as though if any subject is so much as twitched, it may leave everyone in the stand-up slain. You cannot help but glean that it may now come to this, if any of them had been more industrious. In other words, Sanford and Deimos' confrontation with the sheriff at the end of the industrial sector, where how a lot of blood was spilled, and that could have been avoided if the sheriff hadn't spent the whole time running away from Sanford and Deimos because he thought they were trying to kill him, even though they stated a million times that they're not here to kill him. That coward just doesn't listen until it's too late. Next set of etchings. Boards of restless figures scramble and shuffle across the derelict tombstones of the old box-like mausoleums where they take residence. This etching screams of vile, desperate fury. AKA how the residential sector of Nexus City is overrun with zombies, or as the game calls them, Zeds. Next. Two small figures, each bathed oppositely in light and darkness, give purchase and stagger back in the shadow of a fiendish entity that defies life, death, and all things natural. An alien but familiar intelligence dwells in the flames of its horrible eyes. In other words, Kristoff and Hank's encounter with Gestalt, in how the familiar intelligence is all the souls inside its body, all running to its brain. Being opposite light and darkness, Kristoff's desire to reboot Project Nexus into a way that serves Nevada rather than doom it, while Hank just wants to destroy it. The multi-eyed guardian of the underworld stands watch over the ascending ladder to a false heaven, and the craven followers of a fallen logos surround it. There is an unquenchable greed in their faces as to scream, "I will take what is mine." Craven followers, probably the Nexus core, while the multi-eyed guardian is the ghoul and Sanford and Deimos' face on the monolith up to the Nexus up to the Science Tower. And so we arrive at the last set of etchings. Masters of a doomed world tower proudly above their serful lapdogs. Every one of the hulking chieftains, however, wears a mask of false confidence, for their disposition betrays one singular fact. They too serve one far greater, and are no less a patsy to higher powers than their subordinates are to them. Okay, just talking about the members of the Nexus Corps and the Tower Guards in particular. They are of high ranking in the armies of Nexus, but are themselves slaves, patsies to ones of higher power to them, like the Blackguard and of course Phobos. And that's the end of this video. Those were all the etchings on the cave. You know, what I find interesting is that it looks like there's an empty space for another etching, but yeah, this is where it ends. And simply with this particular etching, there isn't, you know what, nothing else you can do in the story, and thus nothing that ever ends up here. Though, I'd be surprised if there is a surprise like future update in the game that actually does add something that gets added here. Honestly, feels like that Self-Eater DLC could have been something that added an extra etching. There's still something that happens after the fall of Project Nexus, but nope, that's it. That is the story of the Project Nexus campaign, all detailed in these etchings by this mystery dude who escaped into this vent. Yeah, just felt like it was about time I actually showed this off in a video. You know, and I find it a neat little detail how you can just return to the outskirts, go down here, and just view this and see how the mystery dude describes our story in the most profound way possible. Anyway, that does it for this video. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell, and happy Madness Day.